Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
If you want to stay at home, I respect that. If you do go out, respect others and wear a mask for now and keep your distance. However, now it is past time to get back to work. Let's roll. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a Patriot to call in with our Pledge of Allegiance on a Monday, a beautiful Monday. Good morning. And a good morning to you and yours. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, and of course brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. They're open and ready with a safe, clean environment, and of course the best in tires and service for your vehicles at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And don't forget too, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue in Burley. That's right, helping you get back to being you. And Greystone Crossing Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wow. Thank you, Linda. God bless. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
God bless you. Take care.
Oh, thank you. Beautiful, beautiful lady right there. Thank you very much. And right now it's time for the weather. And the weather brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn. Hello, Roger and the crew. They're over there, have been. They started about 7 o'clock in the morning, and they've got all the best of tools and equipment for you. I mean, they are big. They are good. They've got all the power rakes and all the gardening and lawn equipment and all the rototillers. I mean, I'm telling you, you want to play in the dirt, they've got the tools to do it. Absolutely, at K&R Rental. Number to call, 678-3122. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
It's a beautiful day as we start off a new work week, and here's what we're expecting. Sunny skies with a high of 64, a little bit of a breeze out of the west at about 5 miles an hour. Tonight, nice and clear, low of 37. Winds are going to be picking up out of the west-northwest at about 7 miles an hour. For tomorrow, nice and sunny skies, high of 75, partly cloudy for tomorrow night with a low of 47. By Wednesday, mostly sunny skies, but the winds are going to be picking up out of the east-southeast at about 10 miles an hour. Gusts as high as 34 miles an hour with a high of 74. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb.
Thank you very much, Gene. Appreciate it. Wheels, bump the feed line to me just a touch, just a mere touch, please. Thank you very much. Weather brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn. They get there early to serve you with the rental on both long and short-term equipment and tool needs. You give them a call, 678-3122. K&R Rental. By the way, I am going to try to get a hold of Kevin a little bit later on today. Kevin Butcher over at Daryl's Cleaners. You know, he took a tremendous, dangerous fall and broke a bunch of ribs and punctured a lung, and we just want to keep praying for him. And they've got a Facebook page, a GoFundMe page. Please look it up, and $3, $4, $5, $10, $20, $50, whatever you can afford, put on there. Let's help him get well and get better. And that's Kevin at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. And they've always been there to serve you. Let's help them out a little bit. They need some help right now, too. Daryl's Cleaners with Kevin under the weather, and we hope he heals up quick. 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Caller, I'll be right there. I want to remind everybody about Ramsey Heating and Electric. They also get there early in the morning at 7:30. Throw the doors open and say, come on in, everybody, at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. All your heating, cooling, and electrical needs with a staff that is very, very educated and service-oriented. So you better check it out today. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Number to call, 678-0459, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Caller, a good morning to you.
Top of the morning to you.
Well, my goodness sakes, look who's up.
And kicking.
Uh-huh.
All right. You know, one thing in the last few days that really bothered me is the stuff's coming out that the FBI has done to General Flynn in our country.
Yeah.
If they can do that to a 3-star general and put a president through what they put through the last 3 years or 4 years, imagine what they could do to us if they really wanted to get down and dirty.
Oh, Doug, now wait a minute. And Wheels, there's feedback here. Doug, there's no question that you and I are just little fly specks on a perfectly clean glass window. And they would rub us off of there in no time at all. Here we have a general that is and has been of great service to this United States of America. They didn't like him because of his association with Trump, and they wanted to put more egg on the face of this administration. And what they've done, and if they get away with it, is absolutely part of the ruination of America.
It will be. It will be. It's time to start holding people accountable. It's long past time. Because when we let the politicians and the bureaucrats back there get away with all the illegal things they're doing and not upholding the Constitution that they swear to uphold, it is time to start holding them accountable, because if we don't, they're going to keep doing it.
Well, Doug, don't you think that, let me ask you a quick question here about our politicians, whether it's Crapo or Risch or Simpson or whatever, don't they, our hired politicians that we voted in office, don't they owe us weekly explanations as to what's going on? And if they're so busy that they can't take time to call back home to various radio stations, i.e. mine, and let us know what's going on, gee, we're the people that put them in that position in the first place.
Exactly. And it's sad that we keep putting them back in that position. I used to listen to a radio station when I drove truck all over country, and it was on XM, and the guy's name, his handle on the radio was Truckin' Bozo. And he had a philosophy. He says, we need to send a message to Washington, D.C. He says, when we go to re-elect officials, he says, vote out every incumbent you can. He says, if we vote out 2/3 of the House and 1/3 of the Senate in an election and just kick all the incumbents out and put new people in, that would send a message to the rest of them, say, hey, we better start doing our job. We're going to lose our job.
Yeah, and I've got another call waiting, but I want to make this point and have you just quickly address it, is that I don't feel, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't feel that we should, in the radio media business, TV, should have to always chase that parked car, being the politician, and beg and implore them to come on the air. You would think that they would want to call and say, hey, can we get on this week sometime? Can we get on Tuesday? Can we get on Thursday? So that we can tell our constituents really what's going on. They're not doing that.
No, they're not. And what they forgot is they're representing us, and I can't remember the last time a politician got a hold of me and asked me what I thought on a certain issue coming up in front of the country.
Yeah. Yeah.
They do what they think is best. They're not there to do what they think's best. They're there to do what we want them to do.
I called one politician in particular 9 times in a row to offer various times and segment times that I could get him on the program, none of which seemed to fall into the gist of their daily routine. And I find that very offensive because they need to open up time, take time to tell the people that took the time to go to the polls to vote for them what's going on.
I agree with you 100%. And we need to hold the people that have been making the things happen, like the FBI, like Comey. That man needs to be in front of a firing squad. That's my opinion.
It's pathetic.
Tried to do a coup on the president and has committed treason.
Yep.
There's a lot of them back there. And when we start holding them accountable and putting the punishment of maximum, if it is a firing squad, put them in front of a firing squad. And I'll guarantee you there's other people that are doing the same thing are going to say, whoa, wait a minute.
Well, you're not...
Stop, or we might be in front of a firing.
You're not the first person in the last 5 days to say that these people have been involved in very traitorous type activities and should be held accountable and possibly even with the death penalty. And you're not the first, believe me. God bless you, man. I got to run. There's
after what's fine that they've done to General Flynn that's coming out, I am mad.
Yeah, I don't blame you, and I'm on your side 100%. Thank you. Doug got another call waiting. Thank you very much.
Hey, everybody, let's do what we can for our senior centers. I know you can't go eat there and have a full tummy, but you can donate and help and volunteer and have a full heart.
Absolutely. Doug, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And right now, caller, stand by. I'll be right there, I promise. Dino Septic Service, I want to remind you about those great folks. Boy, they do a great job. And you know that the fast, fair, friendly service, they really, really care. 436-6526 and 678-1638. You know, whether it's the septic tank pumping, you don't want to do that. They do. Backhoe services, sewer and sink drain lines clean, liquid waste removal, all of this and so much more by a company that has expanded, and they've got more people and more time and more availability to help serve you. Dino Septic Service. You give them a call today, they'll pull in the yard with a big truck that says smells cargo on the way. Dino Septic Service, the best. Real quick, too, I want to acknowledge our friend Kevin over at Certified Pest Control. Wow, do I believe in this guy, because they came over a couple of years ago and helped us just totally eliminate the vole and the mice problem that everybody was suffering from. Remember that? It was terrible. Right now they're offering advanced spider and bug treatment starting at just $39.95, and that comes with a 3-month guarantee. I'll tell you what, keep those pests away. You get a hold of them today. How do you do it? You get a hold of avoidbugs@gmail.com. That's right. Go to avoidbugs@gmail.com. Certified Pest Control. They are the best, and I can testify to that. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, Saturday morning I got a call from my nephew that lives here in Burley. He said, guess what? My pickup was stolen last night. He had a 2017 GMC pickup, and I asked him, I said, well, did you report it stolen? He said, no. OnStar called me and told me my pickup had been stolen and that it had been disabled.
Oh, my.
They didn't make it 10 miles before OnStar was on that, shut the pickup down, notified the police to come out and investigate it, and then to call the owner of the pickup. That is phenomenal.
Yeah, it is. Did they get the people that perpetrated the crime?
No, and nothing was missing because, they're probably just driving along. All of a sudden, it just quits running.
Yeah. And
it's phenomenal how that happened.
I would imagine that those people took off at a high lope and are still running someplace. So
they're probably praying for repentance right now.
Well, I don't blame
I'll
them.
never try that again.
Well,
He had just put over $2,000 worth of tires and wheels on it, and he suspects that was probably what they were going to do. They were just going to take it out in the country somewhere and strip it, and so there would be no trace.
I think everybody has got to become more cognizant and more aware of locking things up. It's not a 50 years ago type environment to where you could leave the keys in the old pickup truck or leave the back door open or leave the windows up. We can't do that anymore, Keith.
I realize that, and I'm going to be more careful in the future, but somehow they got a key to it. And because it was locked up.
Yeah.
And these people are really professional that are doing this, so I would advise people to just be more cautious. But that OnStar there was worth whatever it cost. I guess they put it on a new GM vehicle, every one that's sold, and hoping that you'll renew the thing.
All right. Well, I'm not going to spend any more time on this right now to give OnStar a free commercial, but I appreciate your call. I'm glad the vehicle is back. I'm glad it wasn't damaged, and thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You bet.
All right, thank you. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Next Sunday is Mother's Day, and Nature Nursery and Market at 120 East Highway 81 in Burley, they're celebrating Mother's Day absolutely with a Mother's Day sale, and I'll tell you what, it goes Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, 10% off hanging baskets and select trees, and 15% off home decor. And if you spend $150 or more, you receive a free gift. I'm telling you, they've been in business since 2017 and want to serve you for Mother's Day. Nature Nursery and Market, 120 East Highway 81 in Burley. Number to call, 261-3377, Nature Nursery and Market. Oh, calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'm going to go into another story here in a moment, a note of sadness, and I mean that when I say this. And first of all, Wheels, can we please have the good word for the May 19th primaries?
Idaho's primary election is on Tuesday, May 19th. Here's Speaker of the House, Scott Bedke, to explain this year's voting by mail.
This year it's going to be a little different. You will be getting an absentee ballot request form in the mail. Fill it out. Send it in. Then the county clerk will send you an absentee ballot form. This is how you vote. Fill it out. Mail it in by May 19th. If you have other questions, don't hesitate to call your county clerk's office. Paid for by Bedke for Idaho.
I appreciate it, Scott. Thank you very much. You know, this really bothers me. We need things in life, items in life, to take our minds and our thoughts off the daily grind of getting up and going to work and trying to make a living and trying to squeeze as much as we can out of every dollar bill. But, you know, with this coronavirus and this pandemic, there are so many things that have gone by the wayside that are a part of America. And they're a part of families, and they're a part of kids growing up. And I was really saddened because of America's Little League not having, for the first time ever in history of Little League baseball, a World Series this year. Now, it's been canceled. And I think that's just pathetic. I personally, and I know my wife can say that she does too, we look forward to the coverage of Little League Baseball World Series on TV. And all of this, cancellation, all of this, no pro baseball, nothing to kind of relax and cheer for your team. The finalization of the NBA season, no, not happening. It looks like it's going to stymie and stop a lot of things during the course of the summer leading up to the fall. One doesn't even know if there's going to be fall football or if there's going to be college or pro football. All of this because of what happened with the Chinese stupidity and ineptness. And I mean that. I am glad, on a brighter note, that NASCAR is going to be opening up certain races on May 17th. However, there won't be any fans in the stands. It will provide an opportunity on television for people to just sit back and if you like NASCAR racing, I do, it's going to give a chance for people to just see something other than reruns. So I salute NASCAR for opening it up, and only essential personnel working in the pits, etc., will be there. But it's something. It's something. America needs a little bit of a vacation. America needs something to cheer about. America needs sports. There are those that say, well, you don't need sports. No, baloney. There's another word I wanted to use, but I can't on the radio. America needs to cheer for somebody or someone. And we've lost that. It's got to come back. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Please give me a call. I would love to hear from you this morning, so give us a jingle on the landline. While I am waiting for your call, I've got a note right here. You ought to see this pile of papers. I mean, it is all dog-eared, and I haven't got anything organized here this morning. I tipped everything off on the floor prior to the program this morning, and I thought, I'll get it all categorized. I did not. I want to remind you about Kent McClellan for Minidoka County Commissioner. He's a good old boy, a lifelong resident of Minidoka County, raised on a farm in Minidoka County. He's been a businessman in this area for a long, long time. 9 years on the Paul City Council, 10 years as Minidoka County Commissioner, and Region 4 Development Board member for 8 years. He does know his business. And he, of course, Mini-Cassia Veterans Board as an advisor and liaison to the county. Kent never served in the services, but he says, I want to serve those that do right now. So, by golly, don't forget to vote online this year, idahovotes.gov. Get your ballot, and don't forget to vote for Kent McClellan for Minidoka County Commissioner, paid for by John A. Burt Stevenson. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. It is time to open up America. It is time, and even though the media and a lot of naysayers, and we have a lot of those naysayers that live and reside right here in this Magic Valley, they've got to be overridden. I mean, with the caution and precaution of masks and gloves and hand sanitizer, we have got to get back to work and become productive. It will scare you as to how negative and failing our system is, and we are on the brink. And we're going to have later on this morning noted economist Michael Busler, Dr. Michael Busler, on our program at 10:06 this morning. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning again. What about our robin?
Keith, right now, I don't even want to get into something as frivolous as that. We've got more things to worry about than a doggone bird pecking on the window. I don't want to sound rude to you, but of all the things that are going on in the world with the coronavirus and China and everything else, I don't care about the robin. He's fine, I hope, I guess, but I don't care.
Okay. Well, what I really called you about was what you were discussing about this virus. You know, they're putting too many things into the virus, heart failure and all this other kind of things that are occurring as a natural thing. And now they become attached to this virus, and people are scared to death of it. You know, we haven't lost as many people this year as we have in the past. What is wrong with it?
Well, when you say we haven't lost as many people this year as we have in the past, that's kind of an open statement. What are you referring to? To the virus called the flu, or what are you referring to?
Well, I'm referring to mainly to the flu. That is a seasonal thing. It happens every year. Like last year's, I don't know the exact numbers, but it was more than what this virus is.
No, it wasn't. It was as of a couple of days ago, but there are some changes. The number of influenza-related deaths that occurred in Idaho during the season of 2018 and 2019 was a total of 58 people. 58. We're above that now, I think, at 64 to 65 here in the state of Idaho. However, 55 of the 58 were over the age of 50. One was under the age of 18, and 2 were 19 to 49 that contracted the flu virus and passed away, with a total of 58. And the coronavirus, I believe, latest numbers are showing Idaho at 64, I believe, have passed away.
But here in Cassia County, one. A 98-year-old lady,
Yeah.
you know, that evidently she had problems because she, according to the obituary, it said that she died with her 3 daughters at her side. So probably they were expecting this.
Well, the whole thing boils down to, I don't want to minimize any life, and I know you don't either. And every life lost is absolutely a moment of sadness and grief for all of those people that are left here in complete grief over the loss of a loved one, and I respect that. But I can tell you you're right on the twisting of many of the stories about the deaths related to the coronavirus. They have linked in many states people that were dying with cancer, and when they did pass away, they linked that to the coronavirus. Heart disease, diabetes, kidney disease. There's too many linkages to just saying in a kind of a bland statement, oh, well, they died from the coronavirus, and I don't like the way they're doing this.
I don't either. And, you know, getting down to the family part of it, those who are left behind, so to speak, like you and I have a grandson that was born right at the beginning of this, and they live down in Utah. He's a great-grandson, my very first one. I have 3 great-granddaughters, but this is my first great-grandson.
Wow.
And I haven't been able to see him. I've seen pictures of him, but golly, I'd sure like to be able to see him.
I don't blame you. My Toby's boys just live up the road from me, not very far, and I get to see them on occasion. But I have not seen Jake's boys, my grandsons up there in Nampa, since way back in January. And I'll tell you what, things have got to change. Keith, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your call.
Yeah, bless you, my man.
All right, you take care. Thank you. Say hello to Nancy. We appreciate it. Thank you. Right now, I want to remind everybody about Berry Equipment and Rental Sales, Service, and Parts. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Nampa location. They've got a brand new, huge inventory for this year. All the Bobcats and all the Doosan wheel loaders and excavators and all the trenchers and all the scissor lifts. Oh, when it comes to lifting, digging, pushing, and carrying, they've got everything for you. Great financing programs to buy, great lease programs for rental. Berry Equipment and Rental in Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. You get a hold of them today. Morning, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Morning, Zeb. I just stepped in my office and turned the radio on before I left the yard, and I heard your last caller talking about the numbers are kind of haywire. Well, about a month ago, I was curious because I hear so many people died from COVID-19 here, and here, and then you change the channel down on the dial a few places, and the numbers are totally different. And it just went from depending on what news broadcast station you're listening to, and so I got curious, and I got on the internet when I was parked at a truck stop, and I put in searched CDC's COVID-19 actual death rate versus projections. And the numbers I got, and it went state by state, age by age, and it went for 2 or 3 pages long. The numbers were a lot different than what they're being told. Now, I don't remember what they were off the top of my head, but I seen that, and it made me scratch my head and wonder, are they counting deaths for people who were going to the hospital because they might have had it, got in a car wreck and died, or somebody who had a heart attack while they may have had the virus, or it was actually caused from the virus? And that's the biggest thing is there's, like you were saying just a minute ago, there's too many things just thrown into the fray on this.
Yeah,
and I really don't think we're getting the full clear view picture.
I can guarantee you we're not getting a clear view picture of everything. And I would like to have just honest appraisals of what happened. Somebody walks into a hospital and they say, I think I've got the virus, and if they are put in a hospital bed, and I need to have the tracking of what was done, their treatment, what happened. And you know what really bothers me the most, Riley, and I want you to respond to this real quick. I've got another call. There is not, in my opinion, and tell me if you think I'm wrong, please, there is not enough reporting on all of those that have recovered and are doing fine from the virus. We always hear the negativity.
Well, I agree with you, and my wife would yell at me, but the thing about it is I don't think that's what the news networks want out there. They can sensationalize pain and discomfort and fear.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to telling the truth and the happiness and the sunshiny part of things, that don't sell quite as well.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Thanks, Riley. I always appreciate hearing from you, my friend. Thank you very much. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead. Caller, if you're going to talk, you got to talk. Don't just sit there and stare at the phone, please. Wheels, where are they?
They should be there, sir. Let me check real quick.
All right, thank you. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Do we have a caller waiting on that line, Wheels?
They're calling back in.
They're calling back in. Caller, good morning. Now talk to me.
I guess you couldn't hear me. Can you hear me now?
Well, gee whiz, now there's a statement that I'm going to write down. I guess I couldn't hear you.
I apologize for that.
So, talk to me.
Well, I was going through some papers trying to clean up some of my mess, and I found a little paper there that said all the restrictions had been lifted. The funny thing, it was dated 1776.
Yes.
I don't understand. I went to town this weekend, had to go get a few things, and I thought the whole, we're in stage 1, restaurants were supposed to be able to open. I didn't see any restaurants open.
Well,
very few.
Stage 1, let's talk about this just for a second, please. Brad Little had said, outlines a variety of precautions, blah, blah, blah. Places of worship, people are encouraged to wear masks or face covering. I understand that. I understand that's got to happen. Now, as far as restaurants are concerned, I know they've made some special limitations on the amount of people that can go in and everything, and I'm trying to look through this. I do not know, let's see, non-essential travel. Bars, restaurant, dining rooms, large venues, hair salons should stay closed, said the governor last week, in stage 1.
Okay, then I misunderstood that.
But there again, I'm just going to come out and say this, and you can argue with me, anybody can. But again, Wheels, you got to ride that gain on this feedback, please. Everybody's business is essential to me, my friend. I do not want anyone to think that they're not essential. I don't think you want to go up to somebody that owns a jewelry store or somebody that owns a sporting goods store or whatever and tell them they're not essential. That business is critically essential for their family's livelihood and for their future. And I find it deplorable that we let some stay open and some not when we could all use and address the same safety measures. Everybody should be open as essential.
Oh, I agree with that wholeheartedly. In fact, I had a friend of mine that owns a hair salon, and she was planning on opening. She said, I'm just going to say to hell with it and open the doors.
Mm-hmm.
And she had posted that on Facebook, and somebody, I don't know who it was, had reached out to her and told her that they had opened their business, and they actually got fined. Now, I don't know if it was BS or if there was any merit to it, but it spooked her enough that she wasn't going to gamble it now.
Well, let me ask you a question. You've always called in. You're a sharp guy. Would you please do me a little homework, if you would, for this evening? It'll be turned in tomorrow morning verbally on the air. Show me a law that says we have to abide by all this.
I can't find one because I've been looking because I'm the dog in the manger when it comes to this. You know, I tried to be like, you know, a good citizen, and I try to do my part to not, you know, spread anything that potentially could harm somebody that was at risk.
Well, when I think the governor, and I'm not going to quote this Bible and chapter, verse 3, etc. I'm just going to say this. I think he has the powers of 60 days, and after that 60 days, I think that I'd like somebody to show me a law in the state of Idaho that says we must comply. I thought the legislature made the laws. Please tell me I'm wrong. If I am, I'll stand corrected.
No, that's I'm pretty sure you were, because I think I said that last week on the show, is once it's passed by the United States Congress, then I'll adhere to it. Until then, I'm going to go where I want, and I'm going to do as I please.
Well, you know, the newspaper story that was regarding Governor Brad, and by the way, I want to say this. I said it last week. I'm going to say it again. I would not want to trade places with Governor Brad Little, or for that matter, any governor right now, because of all the pressure that this coronavirus has caused for them, their administration, and their operating the state, any state. But when you see and read things like this would constitute an imminent threat to public health and could lead to a misdemeanor charge punishable by a fine or imprisonment or both, show me the law and show me where in the Constitution that's really valid.
Yeah, I don't know, and I don't think there is one.
Well, this is it. I think a lot of these governors, like Whitmer back in Michigan, they have used these circumstances of a coronavirus and pandemic to just basically get out the whip and the chain and say, thou shalt do it my way or the highway, and that really scares me.
Well, it does. And I seen a picture on Facebook that had a picture of the Statue of Liberty, and she was sobbing into her hands, and it says all it took was a little flu for America to give up all their rights and freedoms.
Yeah, and if we're not careful, and I mean this when I say this, and there's going to be those out there in the audience that are going to go, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, you right-winger. If we're not careful, those that are taken will not come back.
Well, the Founding Fathers seen this kind of crap coming down the pike a long time ago.
Yeah.
That's why they wrote that document out.
Amen. Hey, by the way, I'm glad we finally had connections on the phone. Good to talk to you. Thank you.
You bet.
All right, sir. Caller, quickly, I'll do your call before the weather. You're on the air. Go ahead.
You betcha. Good morning, Mr. Bell.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, you hit it right, the nail right on the head when one life lost is one life too many. But on the other hand, look at all the cases. There was a 104-year-old veteran who survived the COVID-19. Why aren't we focusing more on the numbers that we're saving? And we do have to cover the ones that we've lost also, but not make such a travesty out of it. It's probably the wrong term, but we need to have some positivity, and we need to be able to get back and get this economy back on the right track, or we're going to be sunk.
You know, let me just say this, and I want to get your response to it. And by the way, I understand you had an anniversary yesterday with George. Is that correct?
We did, 25 years.
And may I say on behalf of Deanna and I that being your friends, we're very, very happy for both of you, but especially you for what you've had to put up with. That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you.
No, but look at the distortion as to what we're suffering from. I mean, everything is being blamed on the coronavirus. Everybody is saying that we can't go back to work, and there are even some this morning, Donna, that have said, well, we really feel like America should stay in their homes, not only for the balance of this year, but going in through next spring. Donna, what kind of chaos are they talking about here?
Well, I don't know what box of Fruit Loops they got their brain from, but we do that, and like I said, we're going to be sunk. We're going to be another Venezuela, because that's exactly what the Democrats want, Deb. They want to be able to control. Who in their right mind? I saw that newscast of Miss Nancy Pelosi sitting in her house with her $25,000 refrigerator full of ice cream. Who the heck buys a $25,000 refrigerator?
Boy, I tell you what, I think Deanna and I, for the first part of our married life, we relied on yard sales.
Well, yeah, so did I. My first washer was a wringer washer. You know, I mean, come on. I mean, I've got my refrigerator in our home is 25 years old.
But the thing that's happening, Donna...
It didn't cost me $25,000.
Amen. Amen. But the thing that bothers me the most, and I've only got a minute here, but in this morning's paper, there was a story about Trump pushes for reopening. But then, about 3 columns into the story, this quote, and I want to read this to you, and many public health experts believe the nation cannot safely reopen fully until a vaccine is developed. That's pie in the sky, Donna. We don't know if it's going to be this winter. We don't know if it's going to be next spring. America will not withstand, I honestly believe, another 30 days of closure will go broke.
Oh, a lot of these businesses, these small mom and pop places, they can afford to be off another 30 days.
That's right.
And I think they're making, I did quarantine ourselves for the 30 days. I did that. We haven't been anywhere. We haven't done anything. We haven't seen our friends, haven't seen family. I think that's enough. And I think if people just use common sense,
that's right,
which some of us are lacking, I think we'll be okay to reopen and reopen full bore.
Well,
I think it's a mess. It's just a big dadgum mess, and we as citizens need to say, okay, enough is enough.
Well,
enough is enough.
There are people, and very unfortunately some that even write op-eds locally for the Times News newspaper, that are very critical of people like me and others that are saying it's time to get back to work. You know, I don't know the situations of those people. I don't know the financial circumstances. I don't know if they have a guaranteed income. I don't know if they're all retired or what. But I can tell you one thing. It's easy to tell other people, well, you're essential or non-essential, when you're sitting back being the person that's waving the Solomon wand. People need to get back to work, and everybody, in my opinion, is essential.
Oh, every person out there, every job title that is held is essential. And I'll leave with one more thought. I think President Trump needs to sign an executive order so that the Congress and the House do not get a paycheck until they get this stuff cleared up.
Amen. I like that. All right.
Well,
I'm on your side. I learned a long time ago not to be.
Thank you, my good friend.
God bless. Thank you. Hey, by the way, folks, May is Better Hearing Month, and that means, of course, our dear friends at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Oh, my goodness sakes, the best of healthcare providers for you. And, of course, you know where they're located. They are right behind the Minidoka Hospital, and that's across from the emergency room. And believe me, Dr. Christine Pickup and the staff, they are excellent at helping people that have had hearing loss. Please dial the number, make an appointment, 312-0957. That number again, 312-0957. The best when it comes to your hearing health, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
It's a beautiful day as we start off a new work week, and here's what we're expecting. Sunny skies with a high of 64, a little bit of a breeze out of the west at about 5 miles an hour. Tonight, nice and clear, low 37. Winds are going to be picking up out of the west-northwest at about 7 miles an hour. For tomorrow, nice and sunny skies, high of 75, partly cloudy for tomorrow night with a low 47. By Wednesday, mostly sunny skies, but the winds are going to be picking up out of the east-southeast at about 10 miles an hour. Gusts as high as 34 miles an hour with a high of 74. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zebedee.
Gina, thank you. Great job. Like I said, May is Better Hearing Month, and the folks that really can help you ensure your better hearing are, of course, at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Oh, my goodness. They help me. They can help you. You call today, and they'll explain exactly how, through these troubled times, we can make connections, and they can help serve your hearing needs. That number, again, is 312-0957. And these are wonderful people, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Got time for a call or two? Give me a jingle on the landline, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We have lost, and this just absolutely boggles my mind this morning, we have lost in this country over 21 million jobs. We have lost over 21 million jobs. They are drawing unemployment. Many states, and they had a list of them early this morning at 4 a.m. on television, many states are just about at the edge, the brink, with no more unemployment funds. I hope I made myself clear on that. 21 million jobs are lost. And then, which I think is absolutely stupid, the gratuity of unemployment, which exceeds basically some people's income on their monthly or bi-monthly checks, which is ridiculous. They're not going to want to go back to work. What are we going to do? We had a lot of jobs available prior to this mess. Very low unemployment. Now we've got people that don't want to go back to work. 21 million jobs have been lost. And unemployment, in many, many cases, paying them more than what the job did. This is absolutely asinine. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Oh, I think your point's been completely valid. Everyone is essential, and that's why our economy was motoring along as well as it was, is because most people were doing their part and working and doing what they needed, and those tax dollars were rolling in, and I'm not sure who those idiots in Congress think their money comes from.
Well, I'm sure that that's part of the problem. When you wear a three-piece suit and wingtip shoes and sit down in a comfy leather chair back in the Senate or the House, sometimes you forget really the reality of the world.
Well, if you're like them and you don't work for your money and you steal most of it, and what you don't steal is just mailbox money, and you're really not doing your job for it, and you're really still getting your paycheck, like you mentioned earlier, then what's the incentive to do anything different than just coast? Well,
you know, the word steal is pretty that's a speculative word of which I had to have proof on various circumstances, but I will say that they've got to start realizing America is losing its vision of being the best and staying the best. I appreciate your call. God bless you. Thank you so much. All right, sir. Thanks. Call back. Caller, real quick. I've got about 35 seconds.
3 times in one day, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, what I called to say is that's what it's going to do is bring us to our knees to show that, hey, socialism does work, which it doesn't because we're failing and we're not socialists yet. I think that's what the whole end game of this is possibly trying to do, is shut down as much of the economy as possible, trying to force us into hemlock society where it's just, if you go to work when the government says you can go to work and not there anymore. So
yeah.
I'll let you go.
Oh, I appreciate it, Riley. God bless you. Good thoughts from both that gentleman prior to Riley, and Riley, I thank you very much. Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair, 635 21st Street in Heyburn, is for sale. This is an absolutely turnkey business available for you right now. Oh, my goodness. And Doug will even train the new buyer, the business, rebuilding the starters and all the repair. And I'm telling you, this is quite a business. Beautiful location, beautiful shop. Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair. Call him. The shop number, 878-4991. Or after hours, 431-5282. Again, this is a great business opportunity for you. Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair, 635 21st Street in Heyburn. Caller one, quick call, 30 seconds fast.
Okay, all I was going to say is that I've just figured it out. It's an epiphany has just come to me. We can end this right now. All Donald Trump has to say is he's calling off the November elections for another 4 years. This stuff ends tomorrow.
Yeah, well, that's food for thought, and I'm sure going to address that tomorrow in the first hour. Thank you for your point of interest. God bless you for calling back. Thank you. All right, sir. Got to run to the news. Wheels, take it away. Oh, good morning, good morning. Look at that blue sky outside. Good morning, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations, clean, safe environments, and the best in tires and service to your vehicle. You be sure and stop in and see them today. Your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. Also, don't forget Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And Greystone Crossing Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, this good word for Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're all at the Georgia struggle. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this free land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. And I'll tell you what, if you're new to the area and you say, what am I going to do with my garbage? It's easy. Once a week they can come by on the route service, pick up your garbage. It's gone. It's out of there. Find out more. Contact Western Waste Services, always at your disposal, 734-6969. Want to remind you about the May 19th primaries. Wheels, if you would, please.
Idaho's primary election is on Tuesday, May 19th. Here's Representative Fred Wood to explain this year's voting by mail.
All citizens who are registered to vote will receive postcards by mail from the Secretary of State within the next 2 weeks. Please fill out this application to request your absentee ballot, then mail. When you receive your ballot, vote and mail according to instructions prior to May 19th. Please vote absentee ballot prior to May 19, paid for Fred Wood campaign.
Thank you, Fred. Appreciate that. And ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Hello, Nick Greenwell. You know, through this last couple of months, they have been there to serve you, not only at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, but for those that couldn't make it out or couldn't get out because of the coronavirus pandemic, they went right straight to their homes to help these people recoup from surgeries and accidents. They are good. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, with the best of people serving you at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. The number to call and make an appointment, please do this, 678-1191. 678-1191. The best to serve you, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Let's go to the phone line right now, and it is Monday, and boy, I tell you what, there is a never-ending list of things that I want to talk to this man about. He is the president of Americans for Limited Government, and if you want to hear a straight shooter that's going to tell it like it is, this is the man. Rick Manning, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great.
How are you, Zeb? Having fun?
I am doing good. I'm doing great, health-wise. Everything's good, but boy, it is a never-ending list of things that you and I can talk about. The thing I wanted to mention first and foremost this morning, the number one item, when I was growing up, and you're a little bit younger than I am, but I'm sure that you would concur, we always had an immense respect and fear for our FBI. It doesn't seem like that respect is there this morning.
We're a long way from Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. It's a, we have the FBI's been broken. It was broken by Robert Mueller during the Obama administration. Robert Mueller was the head of the FBI. He brought in a bunch of sycophants into the top levels of the FBI. James Comey continues it. And, the FBI agent who was working the field, who was working to deal with kidnappings and all the different wire fraud and all the different and counterterrorism, those FBI agents aren't represented by the top of the FBI. And it's because Robert Mueller and followed by Comey and now Wray have all essentially rewarded not competence but sycophancy. And so we have a top of the FBI that completely needs to be cleansed. Before we go too far, though, Zev, I wanted to say something because when I get the opportunity to listen to your sponsors, as I'm waiting to come on the air. And right now, I want every one of your listeners, I want them to hear this. Local radio, local broadcasters are under a lot of pressure right now because sponsors really have a lot of their money, a lot of the customer dollars that they expect haven't been coming forward because of this shutdown and nobody go out and all that kind of stuff. So it's really important that you reward those sponsors that are advertising by your business because they're essentially investing in being able to talk to you during a time when they could be cutting back and not advertising on this air. So it's really that you reward those sponsors with your business and let them know that the reason you're rewarding them is because you heard them on this show.
Amen.
It is really, really important. That's how we're going to keep Talk Radio alive, is by the people who listen to Talk Radio to get out and reward the sponsors who are advertising on it.
You know something, Rick?
My commercial message, because if we lose the Zeb Bell Show, if we lose shows like the Zeb Bell Show around the country, we will lose one of the only vehicles that conservatives and right-thinking people have to get their message out, separate from the Google, Facebook, Comcast consortium that seeks to basically dominate what people think. So this is really important, and I want people to know. Reward those sponsors for funding the ability for Zeb and people like Zeb to go on the air.
Amen.
And that's my commercial message.
No, and I want to say thank you to you. That was very well put. Every day I get up and thank the good Lord for the sponsors and advertisers that we still have due to the virus and the scare of the pandemic. But, boy, the way you said it is absolutely the truth. I thank the good Lord above for the people that have hung tough, if you will, and we look forward to serving more of them in the future. And thank you very much. I appreciate that.
And I'm happy to do it. We're going to fight for to make certain your voice stays on the air and others around the country like you stay on the air. And it's going to be up to the people, the customers, the listeners, to like I say, reward those local businesses that are in fact investing in their community and investing in truth. So let's reward them with our business.
Rick, thank you again. You've always been a good friend of this program, and even more so right now. I thank you so much. Going back to the FBI and Comey and others, do you think that these people will face, number one, court trials or possibly even jail time for their absolutely anti-American attitude that they pervade during the Trump campaign and his election? Do you think that they will suffer, or are they going to get away scot-free?
It's a great question. They should, but let me just give some reality here. If you're going to put James Comey on trial, you're going to put him on trial in front of a D.C. jury. 96% of D.C. voted for Donald Trump. We are voted against Donald Trump. The 4% who and in the primary election, I think Donald Trump came in fourth in terms of Republican voters in D.C. So they're within D.C., within the place where you're going to get your jury pool. You've got an activist left-wing core that will defend James Comey and believe in jury nullification. So the chances of actually getting a conviction, you might get the perp walk, but you won't get. But the conviction is extremely hard to get when the jury pool is so tainted. You look at the Roger Stone case, where that was Alexandria, which is just south of the river, Potomac River. It's on the other side of D.C., over the Potomac River. But it's got basically the same demographics. The jury foreman was an activist against Donald Trump and had made comments about the Roger Stone case, lied about it. Roger Stone tried to get the conviction overturned because the jury foreman was tainted and lied in the voir dire, and the judge said, nope, too bad. The judge appointed by Obama said, nope, too bad. Doesn't matter if you didn't get a fair trial. You're guilty, and we're just going to avoid having any semblance of American jurisprudence take hold. So, unless we get the trial moved to Omaha, Nebraska, or somewhere in the middle of the country, the chances of a D.C. jury convicting James Comey are very, very light. Now, that does not mean that he should not be charged. It does not mean he shouldn't be perp-walked. It doesn't mean that he should not be given the same treatment that Roger Stone was given, where he gets a 5 a.m. raid, or the treatment that Paul Manafort got, where the agents actually go in and put a gun to his wife's head. Okay, it doesn't mean that he shouldn't have. I don't think anybody should have that for essentially a white-collar crime, but that's what they did to Manafort and Stone, and so yes, they should perp-walk the guy. They should perp-walk all of these people. They should fire them. They should take away their pensions. They should take away their livelihoods. They committed the most grotesque act of any group of people in FBI history. They are beyond anything any of the 10 most wanted ever did, and as a result, they should lose everything. But the one thing that's very difficult to control is the jury pool that will be selected to hear them will be not just predisposed to believe their innocence, will be actively hostile to the prosecution to the extent that there'll be no way to make a case, because Orange Man bad, and taking down Orange Man is the number one thing that needs to be done, and the jury pool will in fact have been rooting for taking down the president, and will believe that the FBI didn't do anything wrong, even when the facts are laid out about the wrongdoing that they did. So my reality check is they won't get convicted, but that doesn't mean they shouldn't be stripped of all honor and stripped of essentially akin to being branded in the Army, where you get turned out and you're ostracized and your name is forever sullied. But I don't think they're ever going to jail.
Let me, if I could, change gears with you this morning and go back to the coronavirus, the pandemic, the naysayers that even today are saying, oh no, why we can't allow anybody to really reopen America until a vaccine is developed. My goodness, Rick, I mean, we're sitting here on pins and needles and people are going broke, the suicide rates are up, marriages are being dissolved in the divorce courts, the pressure, the depression, and now these people say, oh, well, we can't go back to work until a vaccine is developed. What is the matter with these people? They can't see the forest because the tree's in the way.
There are a certain number of people in this country who want absolute, complete control. They want to have the government assume all risks. They want the government to give them money without having to work for it. There's a certain number of people who believe that, and those are the people who believe that nobody should go out unless there's a vaccine. Here's the truth. Everybody has a choice. A church should, under the First Amendment, should have a choice as to whether to open or not. Their parishioners have a choice as to whether to attend or not. A small business has open for sit-down service. People, customers, have a right to decide if they want to do that. There's the rationale that the left uses is that asymptomatic people are spreading the disease and they don't even know it, and so people don't have a way to protect themselves from them, and they don't even know, so they can't stay at home. Science magazine this weekend published a review of the study which determined that asymptomatic people were spreading the disease. The study was done in Germany. It was built around 4 individuals who got sick after meeting with a Chinese national in Germany. And the people who did the study, this back in January, who did the study, interviewed the 4 people who got sick, but never interviewed the patient 0, the person from China. And the people who were sick, who got sick, said, "Oh, the person didn't show any symptoms." Our entire public policy approach to this is based on that study. Guess what? Somebody finally got a hold of the woman in China who was the patient 0. She was sick. She was actually sick. She was taking drugs for headaches. She had muscle cramps. She had digestive problems. She wasn't coughing, but she was sick. She said, "No, I was sick." In this study got published in New England Journal of Medicine. Dr. Fauci used that study to justify the approach that they were taking, and saying it's absolutely clear that asymptomatic people are throwing off the coronavirus, and as a result, we have to do this. We have to put people in jail rather than have isolated sick people. Because we don't know who's sick and who's not.
Well, expand on that a little.
Public policy is based on a study that was wrong.
Yeah.
That was wrong at its core because they didn't do the single most important thing that any 4th grader would know. Talk to the actual person who was patient 0, so you can determine if they were sick or not. They didn't do that. They just assumed based on testimony of the 4 people who got sick and their observation, oh, this person didn't appear to be sick.
Yeah.
When in fact they were. Science is broken, Zeb, and we've just destroyed the world based on that study. And and we have to understand, those people who want to shut everything down, they're wrong. Their science is wrong, and we are absolutely right in reopening America.
Let me ask you this part of it then, Rick. The other side of the coin with the governors, whether it's the Governor Whitmer of Michigan or whether it's Chicago mayor that says, "I'm not playing games anymore, you stay home or I'm going to arrest you" type thing. Where is the law? Please show me. Where is the law written that they have that kind of power? And B, where is it in the Constitution that gives them that authority?
This weekend, the Department of Justice doesn't exist. This weekend, the Department of Justice, Bill Barr, Attorney General, announced that he was joining with a local church in Virginia in a lawsuit against the Commonwealth of Virginia because they were denying the ability of that church to meet. The U.S. government is now weighing in on the side of people's First Amendment rights to meet. The president himself has been praising people who've gone out and protested these draconian laws, which is unheard of, by the way. So right now, thank goodness that Donald Trump's president, because right now, rather than having a Justice Department that sues the Little Sisters of the Poor, trying to force them to provide abortificants into people who have insurance through them, rather than that, we have a Department of Justice that's standing up for First Amendment rights and saying the Bill of Rights can't be superseded because of in this circumstance. And so there's a fight going on. It's a fight for the heart and soul of the country, and we have to be part of it. We have to win that fight. I've got 2 different things that I'm pushing right now that are both towards that, and I'd like your listeners to go to getliberty.org. It's getliberty.org. It's my website. There's 2 buttons on there. One is Reopen America Now. Click on that, and it will send a notification to your governors, state legislators, and the White House, urging them to take immediate actions to reopen. And even if your governor's reopening, they need to hear, we need this done because there's a lot of counter pressure. And then secondly, there's a White House petition that this links to that basically says to the president, China's responsible for unleashing this on us. They engaged in unethical, they lied, and people died, essentially. And we support the president as he moves forward and takes action against China, because there's a lot of pressure to kind of let the Chinese off the hook, and the Chinese are spending a lot of money trying to convince people that they weren't responsible. We need America to stand up and say, Mr. President, hold China responsible. They have forfeited their rightful place in the world, and we have to put them in a box. So that's the other petition. It's the WhiteHouse.gov petition I put up on Friday, and it's really important that America rise up and sign that. The threshold's 100,000 signatures. It's a lot, but there are millions upon millions of people who want China to be held accountable. I've put Americans for Legitimate Government's name on the line, saying we're going to deliver signatures on this, and if we fail, it'll be held up as an example that America doesn't care. China can continue to exist in the way it's existed in the past, and I need your listeners to sign that.
Absolutely.
It's imperative.
Absolutely.
It's imperative. We have to stand up and let the president know that we've got his back as he takes actions against China. Otherwise, the other politicians won't.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. By the way, would the best approach to, if you will, slapping China in the face for their ineptitude and carelessness, would it be with higher tariffs? What would be your game plan on this?
Well, I think we have to root them out of our own society first. We have to get our pharmaceutical industry back to America, so they can't cut off pharmaceuticals, they can't cut off medical devices from American consumers, like they've done during this coronavirus, this Chinese virus attack. And so that's number one. Number two, we have to root out the Confucius Institutes. We have to remove every Confucius Institute out of our colleges. They have polluted our academia. They're essentially recruitment vehicles for the Chinese spy agencies, and they are stealing our intellectual property out of our research institutions. And we have the best research institutions in the world, and China's stealing that information and using the Confucius Institutes to do so. We need to tell colleges you get no federal funding if you have a Confucius Institute on your campus, and drive the Chinese spy operation out of our college campuses. We need investigation into the origins of the coronavirus. You know the Chinese won't put up with it, won't allow it, but we need to force them to accept accountability for what they have done. And so we need that. And the president this past week, on Friday, did something that was really important at the beginning step. He said we're not going to allow he's working to stop federal employee pension funds from being invested in Chinese equities. We have a responsibility to not allow the Chinese who manipulate their markets, don't have a free market. Their stock market and the companies are completely owned by the Communist Chinese Party. And as a result, they can sink a pension fund simply by destroying the equity value of their own companies that they own. So we can't have our equities, our pension funds invested in China. The president's moving to stop federal pensions from doing it. Now we need the Department of Labor to step up to the plate and say no private pensions, no private sector pensions can be invested in Chinese equities that don't meet the accountability standards, the same transparency and accountability standards as the rest of the world has to meet in order to be able to be invested in by our pension funds.
Amen.
Four things that are significant, and three of them are covered in the petition, the White House petition. And once again, people can go there, getliberty.org, which is my corporate website. There's a button on there that you can just push and get right to the White House petition. So that would be, those are four things we have to do. We have to, we're already beginning to reinvest in rare earth metals, and domestic production of rare earth metals, and the Defense Department's doing that. We threw the Chinese out of controlling the one facility we have, the one mine we have. They threw them out of that. We're not allowing the Chinese to be the processors of those metals, so that's a great thing. So we have to become independent on rare earth metals, and so they can. And we have to get our electronics industry back here in America, because the Chinese manufacture 35% of the parts for the F-35. Okay, 35% of our F-35 fights. If we get a shooting war with them, we will not be able to get parts. We will not be able to get the electronics for our best aircraft from China. And oh, by the way, there's no guarantee that the electronics we're getting aren't able to be sabotaged remotely, because they're building them, they know where they're going, and they know that they're going to be the ones fighting against those F-35s. Mm-hmm. And we certainly don't want them to have back doors to be able to crash our planes in the middle of a dogfight. So, lots of stuff to do. President Trump's the right guy to do it, and tariffs are part of it.
God bless you, man. I hate to end the program because I was having such a good time listening to you. Rick Manning, Americans for Limited Government, and go to his website, getliberty.org. Rick, I'm running late, but God bless you, and thank you for all your kind remarks.
Thank you, Zeb, and really appreciate it for running late, but lots to talk about.
Absolutely.
Take care.
Thank you. I relish having that man on the program every Monday. He's a straight shooter, and he knows. Right now, I want to remind you, too, about our dear friend Joel Heward, his staff and family over at Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert, always serving you and your family. And, of course, providing families they serve with the best possible support and comfort, always upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. I urge you to call for pre-planning of funerals. All of us should take the time and effort for that to eliminate a lot of the stress on our families. The number 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert, 436-5636. And Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Want to remind you, too, Mother's Day is this coming Sunday. Yes, it is. Congratulations, moms. And Nature Nursery and Market at 120 East Highway 81 in Burley is having a great big, I mean really big, Mother's Day sale. It's going to be this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. 10% off hanging baskets and select trees, 15% off home decor. And if you spend $150 or more, you receive a free gift. Hey, you better stop in. Their goal is to provide always a superior customer experience and tremendous value. Big Mother's Day sale going on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at Nature Nursery and Market, 120 East Highway 81 in Burley. You be sure to stop over and celebrate a happy Mother's Day. Also, we want to acknowledge our friends at Let's Ride. And I had them on the radio this last week. Super, super good folks. New hours, and they are Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 2. Don't forget Let's Ride, located at 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. And they've got rebates on all the four-wheelers and side-by-sides. Oh, you better check that out. Great service department available for all the work getting your four-wheelers and side-by-sides ready to hit the trails this summer and spring. I'll tell you also all the accessories. Don't wait. Get on over there and meet some really nice people at Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, and it's really the truth. This is where the fun is sold. Okay, let's go to the phone line real quick. And my buddy from back in Golden, Colorado, every week I enjoy having him on the air. Frosty Woldridge, how are you?
Well, good morning, Zeb, and to each of you all out there in Radio Land. Just a happy springtime. We've actually got aspen greening up in front of our house right now as spring is now in full form. And also, the hummingbirds just came back yesterday, so we have our feeders out, and we love seeing the hummingbirds fly around, flit around, and drive each other crazy and fight for this, that, and the next thing. So, yeah, spring is here, and I'm really excited about it. And it's just a pleasure to be with you, Zeb.
Well, it always is the same right back at you, but I think you and I may be on the same page, maybe not. But we've always had a chance as friends to kind of smooth out the rough bumps and come up with some kind of an understanding at the end of every topic. I am saying this morning. It is time to open up America. We cannot let this country go much longer without a full onslaught of all the businesses businesses, and all businesses, in my opinion, are essential. Everybody needs to get back to work. There is no zero factor of risk in anybody's life. We've got to get back and be productive because, Frosty, we're teetering on the brink of not having America any longer if we don't get back to work.
You know, that's exactly correct, Zeb, and we stand shoulder to shoulder on that. For those of you who read my column, America, We've Got to Get Back to Work, it was on News with Views about a week ago. And the key factor is, obviously, this little pandemic thing is having its way in different ways across the world. And yes, and I've said it, as a senior citizen myself, I'm vulnerable more than most at the age of 73 to literally getting caught into the disease itself and dying. But at the same time, we have to get back to work. Everyone's got to get back to work. We've got to get the restaurants back to work. We've got to get the meat packing plants. We've got to get the Tyson chicken's got to get back to work. The truckers have got to be trucking the food. We've got to be spring planting. You name it. This country has got to get back to work. And of course, there are going to be more deaths from this thing. But the fact is, there will be millions and millions of deaths if we don't get back to work, because at some point, if the food chain is broken and we don't get food into the supermarkets, into the grocery stores across this country, we're in a lot of trouble. I mean, really much worse trouble than we would be from this pandemic. So, yes, I stand with you. We need to get back to work as a country, as a people, but also just for being back to normal. And we can do it. We must do it. Some of these governors out there that are hysterical, like Whitmer from Michigan, she's completely out of control. Guys like Gavin Newsom out there in California, totally out of touch with reality. The fact is, we got to get back to work.
You know, you mentioned your home state of Michigan, your home state of Michigan, and it absolutely is astounding to me as to how the news media has portrayed the people that are protesting Whitmer and are absolutely asinine and juvenile proclamations of no going on the lake with a motorboat. You can only use a kayak, or if you want to go to a store, you can go to the store, but you can't buy any garden seed, or you can't buy any tomato plants or anything to work in the garden. I mean, this woman must be in la-la land someplace.
Well, she certainly is, you know, and one of the things that's very frustrating to me, being a common-sense old farm boy from Michigan, is that here you have all of us going to grocery stores, and my wife and I Sandy and I only go to grocery store once a week. We go at the late hours, so there's almost no one there. We have our masks on. We have two masks, an inner mask and an outer mask, to give ourselves the best protection. But all of these grocery stores are open. All of Home Depot is open. Lowe's is open. And for these people to sit there and literally cut the little guy out and make sure that we don't have the small businesses open, somewhat of a little bit of something's going on there, which shows you that the big corporations have some sway, if you will, or some power to stay open, and yet these governors can shut down little businesses. Something's a little fishy there as far as I can see from my old farm boy, taking a look at it.
Well, let me just throw this at you, and I used this analogy 3-4 weeks ago on the air, and I probably didn't mention it to you in your segment. But please explain to me how you can have a big box store open, and I mean hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people going in and commingling and handling product and everything else, and at the same time they're deemed essential, but then the little jewelry store that might see only 2 customers per hour is closed down.
Again, it's a little fishy on my end of looking at it, because there's some really big discrepancies on who is allowed to be open and or essential business and all that goes with that. In the end, we all have to be open. We all have to take, obviously, some precautionary wearing of masks and certainly social distancing. This morning, we finally had a fireplace a guy come out and clean up our fireplace to make sure it's working. It's a gas log fireplace. And he came in, and he had his mask on. We didn't shake hands. I opened the door for him. He didn't touch anything. We wiped the place down. We have to be intelligent about this because this little virus, from everything that I've studied about it, can really transmit very quickly. So at the same time, using our common sense, using our intelligence, using the social distancing, we are going to conquer this thing and make sure it doesn't spread across this country. And that's my take on it. And literally, I think common sense in the final analysis was what's going to keep us healthy in this country. But we have got, Zeb, we've got to get back to work.
I want to shift gears a little bit, and I want to read a paragraph from a news article that I cut out of the paper this past weekend. And when I read this, I absolutely wanted to jump up and punch a hole in the wall, and here it is. The headline, Citizenship Proof Can't Be Required. The subheadline says, Decision a blow to Republicans who want stricter voting laws. And here's the first paragraph, and I want you to respond to this. A federal appeals court panel ruled Wednesday that Kansas can't require voters to show proof of citizenship when they register, dealing a blow to efforts by Republicans in several states. Frosty, my goodness, everybody should prove they're a citizen to vote. I'm just livid over this.
You know, I'm exasperated over this because, in the end, this is a constitutional republic. The only persons that can vote are legal American citizens. They're the only people who should vote. And what is really puts me into almost a spin of what's going on there at the high courts, because they're doing everything they can to make sure that you don't have to have a license or any kind of identification to vote in this country. And all of a sudden, we're going to have all of these people from out of our country able to vote. And we know, I think I've read several really strong articles about falsified voting. It could be into the 2 and 3 million. And the reality is, if you have a bunch of people that are not from our country voting, they could sway an election. In other words, their illegal voting could throw an election toward, and I have to admit this, the Democrats need votes from illegal aliens. That's why there's such open borders people, because the people that are voting for them are the ones that don't want to work, don't care to work, aren't educated enough to work, are not, literally simply don't have any kind of a background to work, and so they get to vote for welfare. And the Democrats are really happy to give away welfare. And so in the end, all of us pay for that. And so anyway, the key here is I don't even know how you can, I don't know how these judges can sit there and say, oh yeah, let's don't have anybody with a license. You don't need a driver's license to drive anymore. You don't need a bank account number, and you don't have to prove your identity to withdraw or put money into your bank account. That's exactly what it is, and I simply don't understand why this is happening at the highest levels of the judiciary.
I got to ask you this. I know that you know Republican Florida Representative Matt Gaetz. Well, he introduced, I think, some common sense legislation, and the headline is, he introduced a bill to deport all illegal aliens during the pandemic. And here's what it says. If signed into law, it would require all illegal aliens under U.S. custody to be deported when the government declares a national emergency due to a communicable disease. And the Democrats, like Cory Booker and Ilhan Omar and others, are just tearing their hair out fighting this kind of legislation. What are your thoughts?
Well, I can tell you this. Ilhan Omar is so un-American, has no business being in the House of Representatives. She's defrauded the immigration system. She married her brother on an immigration fraud. We know that's going on. And yet she's sitting there in the House of Representatives and having some power with her other colleagues called the Squad, this Rashidi Tlaib, she's a Palestinian. I mean, we should have laws against people from foreign countries even getting into the Congress or getting into public office. But I got to tell you, these Muslims are getting into offices across the nation. They're swearing in on the Quran, and the Quran is the one book that is absolutely bent on destroying any other form of government other than Sharia law. So it is extraordinarily frustrating, and the fact is that these Muslims who are anti-America, anti-U.S. Constitution, it's been proven, I think it was Jesse Waters who went right up to Minneapolis, and the majority of the people he talked to wanted Sharia law installed here in America and certainly in their enclaves, because Sharia law is what Muslims run by. And it's not just a law, it's a social, it's an economic system, it's a religious system, and it absolutely is diametrically opposed to the U.S. Constitution. Religious, political, and economic system that has no bearing in a free country with free speech, because Islam is completely contradictory to the U.S. Constitution and the American way of life. I truly think that she should be deported. She should be thrown out of the House of Representatives. She's done enough things to warrant being not only thrown out of the House, but also being deported.
I've got to ask you about the irony of a situation going on with the state of California. The state of California now is saying to the federal government, oh, come help us. You've got to stop the influx of Mexican nationals coming across the border because Mexico has had a severe outbreak of the pandemic coronavirus, and they're coming into California. So help us, help us. My goodness, for years they opened their doors and said, come on in, we'll take everybody. Now it's the shoe's on the other foot.
Well, again, the duplicity of what's going on, if you look at what's happened the last 3 years, the Democrats have done everything to literally banish Trump from the White House. I mean, we had a bogus impeachment session. We had a bogus Mueller investigation it was hot air. I swear that the Democrats are either brain dead or they're so desperate to gain votes because they're so desperate to try to regain power. Their whole philosophy is so anti-American. What I mean by anti-American, they want to give freebies to everyone from foreign countries instead of taking care of the in excess of 70,000 homeless right there in California. It's just beyond me, and yet that's how they operate. It's a different kind of mindset. It's not what made America the greatest country on the planet. And I can say that this country is the greatest, most successful country on the planet. It houses and fulfills the dreams of more people from more races and more different ethnic groups, more different in colors, you name it. This country gives all people an equal chance to manifest and chase, again, their pursuit of happiness. And yet the Democrats would rather turn us into another Venezuela or turn us into another Mexico. I ask anyone out there in the audience, do you want the United States of America to turn into or look like another Venezuela, where the food lines are everywhere, where people are sitting on their butts doing nothing? Everybody always wonders why America is so successful, and a place like Jamaica or all these other places around the world are so failure prone. And the fact is that we go to work. Instead of sitting on our butts playing music all day long, we go to work, where if you go to all these poor countries, they all sit and do nothing all day. How do I know that? Because I've bicycled through those countries throughout the world at 12 miles an hour, and I have seen it firsthand. America is successful because it gives freedom of speech, it gives individual freedom of religion, individual freedom of absolutely pursuing your dreams. That's why we're successful, and that's why much of the world is not so successful. And that's why Democrats, they whatever they are completely out of touch with how to make a successful country. And it's not by inviting all of the illegal aliens across the world to come here just to vote them into office.
You know, Frosty, real quick, I've only got a couple of minutes left, and I would like you to address this issue of the closure, President Trump said, for flights coming in from China, etc. And I think he should go a step further on the closure and stoppage of Chinese students going to our major universities and basically picking the brains of all of our professors, picking the brains of all of those with the technocracy and the technology, and then going back and using it against us in their country of China.
You're exactly correct. We should shut down the unbelievable educational invasion of our country. But for those of you who don't know this, the Chinese are buying up companies in this country at a very fast pace. I think Smithfield has been bought up by them. They're buying up Tyson Chicken. They're buying up major corporations, but they're also buying up land, farmland. They're buying it up in New Mexico. And we should not allow anyone from a foreign country to buy our businesses and or buy our land up, because if they do, they get a foothold and they can start wielding power. And I don't mind telling you, I've been to China. I've traveled all over China. Chinese don't really like us. They are not a friend, and if they can bury us economically, they would do that. And if they continue on the little path that they are as far as buying up businesses, they will start literally telling us what to do in our own country. That's what's happening in Europe right now. It's certainly happening there in Vancouver, where the Chinese have taken over at 65% of the population is now Mandarin Chinese, and they are migrating more and more of their people there to take over literally Vancouver and all of BC. And I've said it before, Canada is going to see British Columbia secede from the Canadian country because the Chinese do not like Canadians. They don't like Americans. They have no affinity to us. And so, we're in trouble, and China is not going to stop. They're insidious, they're methodical, and they're coming for our country, our economics, they're coming for our land, and they're taking our businesses. So you would be exactly right. We need to stop this. We need to make laws against it to make sure that we keep our country in the hands of our citizens, not their citizens.
Amen. Frosty, time goes too fast. God bless you, man. Thanks for everything you do on this program. Frosty Woolridge, Golden, Colorado. We'll look forward to seeing you next Monday. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zeb.
All right, take care. Right now it's time for the weather, and the weather is brought to you by our friends at Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. And Wheels, we need to adjust that. It sounds like we got the barrel technique again coming down the line. If you could help me a little bit. Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company, and they've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cassia area for well over 50 years. My goodness, the best of tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, bookkeeping services, retirement planning. They are there to serve you, and serve you they do. Absolutely. Locations in Burley and Rupert. Remember the best for you, your family, and your business. Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company, the professionals. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
It's a beautiful day as we start off a new work week, and here's what we're expecting. Sunny skies with a high of 64, a little bit of a breeze out of the west at about 5 miles an hour. Tonight, nice and clear, low 37. Winds are going to be picking up out of the west-northwest at about 7 miles an hour. For tomorrow, nice and sunny skies, high of 75, partly cloudy for tomorrow night with a low 47 by Wednesday. Mostly sunny skies, but the winds are going to be picking up out of the east-southeast at about 10 miles an hour. Gusts as high as 34 miles an hour with a high of 74. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zebedee.
Oh, thank you very much, Gina. Brought to you by the professionals. Believe me, they are serving you and your business with the very best of being accounting services to the Mini-Cassia area for, like I said, well over 50 years. Offices at 625th Street in Rupert and 1710 Overland in Burley. The professionals, Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. Want to also remind you about our good friend Scott Gano. Oh, my goodness sakes. I tell you, with all the wind we've had, what about that dust storm the other day? Holy smokes. I mean, ripped the trees and the branches. That was really something. Scott Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service, and boy, they're doing a lot right now on all the tree trimming and all the shrub trimming and all the fruit tree trimming. They're the people to call, and I urge you to do so. The number, 438-2485. Let me say that number again, 438-2485. Absolutely the best. All your landscaping needs, everything, they can do the job for you. And believe me, the number to call, do it right now. Don't put it off. 438-2485. Scott Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service, waiting to serve you. Let's see, what else have I got to tell you? Oh, yes, let's not forget our dear friends over at Cameron and Siemens Insurance. My goodness sakes, Todd, there's a guy that really is committed to service. Very committed and accessible to serving you and whatever your needs are regarding life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and more through the company name Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. All you have to do is just call the number, make an appointment, 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. We have time for one quick call. Give me a jingle on the landline, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Did you hear about the guy down in Florida? He had a boat at a marina, and I'm going to say this real quick. He had a Trump flag on the dock by his boat. By his boat, that is, and evidently a county commissioner or city councilman said, no, you can't have that flag flying on the dock, you got to take it down. So this man took his boat to where they make those special kind of wraparound name and advertising banners, and they did his whole boat in Vote for Donald Trump 2020, and he put it on the water, and 1,500 people, I have no idea how many boats, followed him in a flotilla all the way around the marina and out into the ocean and back again, and really made his point for the re-election of Donald Trump for president. So he teed the guy off, and he says, all right, I'll fix your wagon. Coming up next hour, we have got the gentleman that I absolutely have all the respect in the world for, because when it comes to money and finances and, of course, our economy, he knows, and that's Dr. Michael Bussler back in New Jersey. And then at 10:32, Vicky's Country Garden. 10:46, we're going to have Representative Fred Wood on. Don't go away. We've got a full hour left. I'll see you back in 7. Oh, good morning and welcome back. Here we are, sitting in the studio when we should be sitting outside. Beautiful day in the neighborhood. Zeb at the Ranch, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations are open and serving you with a very safe, clean environment and the best in tires and service. All 7 Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, along with Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And our friends at Greystone Crossing, oh my goodness sakes, yes, with all the pandemic scare, etc., everything is going to pass, and believe me, this is a beautiful location for seniors to call and check on and move in, be a resident, and be with your friends. It's a beautiful 12-bedroom home and featuring 3 meals a day, snacks, housekeeping, local transportation. It is beautiful. Greystone Crossing, independent senior living on Alfresco Road. Please, the number to call, 650-4979. I'll repeat, 650-4979. Greystone Crossing, independent senior living, a place for seniors to live the good life with friends. Also, I quickly want to acknowledge what's going on May 19th for the primaries. Wheels, if you would, please.
Idaho's primary election is on Tuesday, May 19th. Here's Senator Kelly Anton to explain this year's voting by mail.
The outcome of every election we have is determined by who shows up to vote. This year, Idaho's primary election is a mail-in only election. It's not ideal, and it's not the way we'd like to do it. But your vote does make a difference for all of us in Idaho. So please, first request a ballot, then mail it in, and make your voice heard. This message is paid for by the Anton for Idaho Senate campaign.
Thank you very much, Senator Anton. And quickly, I want to remind you, too, about our friends at 7K Metals, silver purchases that come right to your home. You can help yourself build your own financial security and future through silver purchases with 7K Metals. Well, tell me how. I will. You get a hold of Lon Hardy at 312-8699 or Sharon Wilmot at 430-3259, and they will give you all the information. Please tell them I told you to call. Super nice people, and it's a great saving opportunity for you and a valued treasure for your loved ones in the future. Don't forget our friends at 7K Metals silver purchases, and you call them today. Right now, and I want to give a great big shout out to this man for being so nice and hospitable. I called him on Saturday and I asked if he could please help me out this morning. I had some changing of some of the segments and some of the guests I had scheduled for today. He said he would. He was very gracious about it. And ladies and gentlemen, right now, economist and absolutely professor, political analyst, Dr. Michael Bustler. Sir, good morning. How are you?
Good morning to you, Zeb. Thanks for having me. As you know, it's always my pleasure to be here.
Well, God bless you for that. You know, Dr. Bustler, I've been thinking about our conversation we had on Saturday and how to start off our segment this morning, and I'm really not sure. I'm seeing an America that right now is teetering on the brink with 21 million jobs lost and unemployment funds running out at a lot of states. And we have many on the left saying, oh, no, we can't go back to work until the corona vaccine is perfected. I mean, my goodness, America can't wait any longer. We need to get back to work. What are your thoughts?
Zeb, I agree with you completely. We do have to get back to work. We had what was going to be an excellent economy and a very strong year. January and February of this year, the numbers were very strong. We would have probably seen the highest growth rate we've had in the last 15 years, and maybe even further than that, until this coronavirus hit. And, of course, in the middle of March, we shut everything down, and everything virtually stayed closed down until the end of April, and just recently some things are starting to open up again. So how bad is it? Well, the data for the first quarter of this year, that's January, February, March. Now, remember, January, February, good. March was a disaster. But the entire quarter, the economy was down, shrunk by almost 5%. That's a very large decrease. However, it's small compared to the decline we're going to see in the second quarter. So the month of April, we were virtually shut down. We're starting to come back in May. I think by the end of May, we'll probably have about 75% of the economy brought back. I think by the middle of June, that number will get closer to 90%. And with the exception of some places like New York City and some other metropolitan areas that are sort of hot spots, they may take a little longer to come back. So the second quarter decrease in GDP could be record-breaking. It's hard to estimate exactly what the number will be, and we have all kinds of estimations, but it looks like it's going to decrease by about 20%. That's a huge drop. However, I do agree with the president that the third quarter, that's July, August, and September, that quarter you'll start to see some positives in the economy. I think we're heading for what we refer to as a U-shaped recovery. In other words, we had a sharp dip. I think we'll drag at the bottom for a couple of months and then start back up relatively sharply. So I think the third quarter, I don't know if it'll be positive, but it'll be pretty close to zero. Again, you're bringing most of the economy back. I think the fourth quarter we're poised for some very strong growth. And going into next year, I do agree with the president also that we're poised for some extremely good growth in 2021. Now, having said that, a lot of it is dependent upon getting this virus under control. And I think we're going to pick up the newspaper one day in early July and read there were no new cases of coronavirus anywhere in the country. Once that happens, I think consumers will feel confident again and will be ready to go out and spend. So we need to get the virus under control. We need to get consumer confidence up. The first 3 years of President Trump's time in office, the economy grew very well, mostly led by the consumer sector and consumers that were very confident. And why shouldn't they be? There were plenty of jobs available for the last year and a half up until this coronavirus. There were more job openings than there were unemployed people. Wages were going up at the fastest rate in decades. Inflation was being held low. They had plenty of purchasing power. The economy was growing, and even when people lost jobs, it didn't take very long to find another one. So consumers were extremely confident, and that's what really led to most of the growth in the last 3 years. Now, as you would expect, consumer confidence has plummeted as a result of this virus, but if consumers can feel confident again and go back into the marketplace and start spending, we'll begin the recovery in the third quarter, and again, I see very strong growth in the fourth quarter and going forward.
Let me ask you this, and pardon me with my layman's approach to the economy, but with 21 million people unemployed right now and their jobs are lost right now because of the coronavirus, what is going to say that they will go back into the labor force when unemployment in many, many cases is paying them more to stay home and not to work? That's a concern I have.
It's a huge concern and very valid. And by the way, the total unemployed number is now closer to 30 million rather than 21. So we continue to increase. The federal government passed a stimulus package, which was both a good idea and a bad idea. On the good idea sense, they wanted to make sure, number one, these unemployed people will see their income go way down and collect whatever their state pays them, but to make sure they have enough income to get by this and start spending again, the federal government added $600 a week to what they were already collecting. So you bring a very valid point. In many cases, people are making more money now being unemployed than if they get called back to work. What that's going to do, it's going to keep the unemployment rate from dropping as fast as we'd like to see it, because people will simply say, I'm not going to go back to work, and you have to work it out whether they still can collect unemployment benefits or not, but it's going to be a drag. So it was good in that it gave them money. It's bad, as you point out, they make more money to do nothing than to do something. Let me also add with that stimulus package two other parts that the government did that will stimulate the economy, which is good, but again, there is a bad side to it. So what else did they do? Any adult that paid income tax last year or the year before gets $1,200. If you're a family of four, you get $3,400, whether you've been negatively impacted by this coronavirus or not. So the government is literally handing out free money to everybody. It's good in that people that are hurting will have income to pay their bills, and it is good even the people that aren't hurting will have more money to spend, and when the businesses reopen, they'll, assuming they're confident enough to go visit them, they'll have money to spend, and that should help stimulate the economy also. Those were two things that went to consumers. The third thing that they did in the stimulus package that was also good and somewhat bad, it is that any small business, less than 500 people, the government will lend them money to pay their payroll and some other expenses for 2 months. If they don't lay off any workers during that 2-month period, the loan turns into a grant, and you don't have to repay it. So that will mean businesses will start to open up now once they get all this money in their states, allow them to open up. Even if there's not business coming in, they'll still keep the workers employed because essentially the government's going to pay for it. They'll find some other things to do to maybe get the business in better shape when customers come back. So those three things in the stimulus package, adding to the unemployment, giving out the free money, and helping small business, will help the economy recover. Now, I also said it's good and bad. Why is it bad? One, as you mentioned, it pays people to stay unemployed because they're collecting so much money. The intent was good. The result of that may not be so good. The biggest bad point, however, and I think I mentioned this briefly when I was on last time, was the deficit this year is going to skyrocket. Before the virus, the federal government was budgeted to spend $4.7 trillion and only bring in $3.7 trillion in revenue. So there would have been a projected $1 trillion deficit. Now, the federal government just passed at least $2.5 trillion more in spending, so that takes the deficit up to at least $3.5 trillion. Plus, because people aren't working and businesses aren't making profit, tax revenue is probably going to go down by about $400 or $500 billion. So you're looking at a $4 trillion deficit this year alone. Now, remember, they're only supposed to spend $4.7 trillion. Now they're looking at spending over $7 trillion and only bringing in $3 in taxes. So you're going to run into that $4 trillion deficit. We're going to have to deal with that at some point. The federal government is already $23 trillion in debt from prior deficits. This is going to add to that. It's going to be a problem that we're going to have to deal with sooner rather than later.
Dr. Bussler, again, I'm going to show some naivete here. Caller, stand by just a minute. Let me ask this question and get the answer. But from whom is all this money going to come from, and where does it put us, America, as far as being selling our soul to someone else?
Well, so the federal government will sell bonds to finance the deficit. Now, some of the bonds will be purchased by the Federal Reserve, which essentially means, not literally, but figuratively, the Federal Reserve is simply going to expand the money supply, print new money to pay for these bonds. That can be very inflationary further down the road. We're not worried about that now. We're trying to get out of this mess. But it will be inflationary further down the road. The part that the Federal Reserve doesn't buy is bought by American citizens and other investors from around the world. So of our total public debt, I think about 30% of it is owned by investors outside of the U.S. China, I think, has the largest. They have about $1 trillion of the debt, and I think Japan has slightly less than that. I'm not sure those are the exact numbers. We'll have to look them up, but they are in that ballpark. So the question was, where does it come from? It comes from borrowing money or printing money. Who do we owe it to? We owe it to people that buy the bonds, be they Americans or non-Americans, and the rest of it came from expanding the money supply, which we're not worried about being inflationary now, but it will be inflationary in the future, and we're going to have to do something about that.
Absolutely. Caller, sorry to keep you waiting. Go ahead, please. Your question for Dr. Bussler, please.
In line with what is being said, my question for the doctor is, how do we build an economy without a dependency on Chinese products, Zeb? And I'll cut off and listen to it on the radio.
It's a very good question, and thank you, caller. I appreciate that. Dr. Bussler, I was going to ask the same thing. It seems like the old Tennessee Ernie Ford song, I owe my soul to the company store. Well, the company store, it seems like, in the last 10 years, has been China, and it seems like an umbrella that we can't get out from under. Am I wrong?
You're right, except that we can get out from under, and here's how we're going to do it, and here's what's likely to happen. So why are we over there producing in China in the first place? The reason is their labor costs are 90% lower than our labor costs. The average manufacturing employee in the U.S.
makes about $24 an hour. The average worker in China makes about $1 an hour. So, and it used to be much less than that. So the labor costs are so low, it pays companies to go over there, manufacture products over there, bring them back over here, and they're able to sell them at a lower price, or they're able to get larger profit margins. The downside of that, as you point out, is we're dependent on China for a lot of key products. Many of them include pharmaceutical products and things like the surgical masks and the protection equipment that we needed. So we're going to have to bring that manufacturing back to the U.S. Now, how are we ever going to do it when their labor costs are so much less than ours, when the prices we have to charge skyrocket? And the answer is not necessarily, because when we bring the manufacturing back, we'll bring the manufacturing back and set up manufacturing facilities that are capital intensive rather than labor intensive. What does that mean? Instead of 100 people working in a factory producing 100 units of output a day, we're going to have 10 people working in the factory with 90 robots, more artificial intelligence, and more automation. So if we reduce our dependence on labor and start making these products using automation and capital intensive, we can get the cost down and compete with China. Fortunately, when Congress cut taxes in 2018, they cut taxes for the middle class to give relief and stimulate the economy, etc. They also cut taxes for the upper class and for corporations. That is where all the new capital comes from. So because those tax rates are lower, there's more capital being created, and we should be able to bring the manufacturing back from China in a capital-intensive environment, which will mean we can keep the costs reasonably close to where they were before and now, not be dependent on China.
You know, Dr. Busser, that sounds great, but here's the caveat. All of this, I think, tell me I'm wrong, is hinging upon Donald Trump getting re-election. I honestly feel if he doesn't get reelected, whether it's pharmaceuticals or whatever the industry or the factory, we're going to be back at square one again.
I agree with you completely. President Trump has taken a tough stand with China and all of our trading partners, something no other president, regardless of party, no other president has done. When President Trump got into office, he took a look at every trade agreement. Every single one of them, for whatever reason, was slanted in favor of our trading partner and to the detriment of the U.S. For instance, in the automobile industry, they make a car in Europe, sell it in the U.S., we charge a 2.5% tariff. We make a car in the U.S., sell it in Europe, they charge a 10% tariff. Same thing with China. We charge them a 2.5% tariff. They charge a 25% tariff. For whatever reason, on Corvettes, they charge a 50% tariff. Well, with all those high tariffs, their citizens in those countries weren't buying many of U.S. goods, so none of their money came into the U.S. Meanwhile, we were buying a lot of their goods because the tariff we put on was so low, their goods were cheap. We were buying a lot of their goods, and money flowed out of the country. That's why we had this large negative balance of trade. Well, President Trump said, I'm not going to stand for that. We need not only free trade, they have to be fair. Whatever the tariff is, it should be zero for everybody. We'll never get there. But whatever it is, it should be the same. If it's 2.5 for us, you should charge 2.5. Well, none of the trading partners wanted to do that. They said, we're not in any hurry to renegotiate these agreements. They're all in our favor. So President Trump, who's a business person, not a politician, what does a business person do when you have a reluctant trading partner? You create a sense of urgency. Bring them to the table. So he said, either you come to the table, I'm putting tariffs on everybody, which is what he did. Quickly, we got a new agreement with China and Mexico. We have a new agreement with South Korea. We have a new agreement with Japan. The European Union is working towards a zero tariff policy. And for the first time, we have phase one of a trade deal with China that will make things a little more fair. So your point was,
if Trump does not get reelected and we get a Democrat in there, they won't follow through with any of these things. And I agree with you. We're going to be right back in a bad situation with China and perhaps some other countries that we were in prior to Trump being elected.
All I can say is I wished I had more time, but I'm dictated to by the clock on the wall, and I want to say thank you again to economics professor and political analyst Dr. Michael Busler. This man is the best. Thank you. God bless you, sir. Please come back soon.
Thank you, Zeb. Look forward to it, and thank you for the kind words. I appreciate them.
Thank you very much. Wow, that man makes it so easy to understand what's going on, and I really appreciate him being on our program here this morning. Let's see. Right now, before we send it back, I want to remind you about our dear friends at Peter... Let's get the alphabet right. Patterson's Electronics at 421 East Main in Burley. My goodness, Curtis and Lorena and their staff, they've got everything for the electronics buff. They've got everything for the person that's looking for a TV. They've got everything for video surveillance cameras. They've got everything for the car stereos and speakers, all the audio systems for your vehicles. Oh, my goodness. Televisions from Samsung, Sony, Toshiba, LG TVs. Great selections and knowledge. These folks really know electronics. Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley, and they're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6, closed on Sundays. Curtis and Lorena at Patterson's Electronics. Real quick, I want to also remind you about our friends over at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. What's happening over there? They're open. They're open regular hours. Absolutely no appointments necessary. Wave the banner. Stop in. Good folks, absolutely, at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. 40 to 50% off on everything in the store. They're doing some spring cleaning, I'll tell you. So get on in there today. Sofas, chairs, floor coverings, whatever. That's the place to go. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. They are open at 459 Overland in Burley, waiting to serve you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a little break. Send it over to Wheels. I'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb back.
Oh, thank you and welcome back to our last half hour. I want to give a great big shout out again to Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair. This business is for sale. What? Yep, the whole business. Absolutely. 635 21st Street in Heyburn. Doug Martin and Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair. And it's a great business opportunity, and it's a turnkey operation. Just turn the key, go in, and start to work. Absolutely. And Doug will train the buyer, the business, and rebuilding starters and repair. If you have any questions, he's going to be right there over your shoulder to help you. Absolutely. Call the number 878-4991 or 431-5282. It is a business that is ready for you. Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair, 635 21st Street in Heyburn. You get a hold of Doug today. Right now, we're running a minute late, but we're going to gather up and gallop. Here we go to Vicky's Country Garden at 185 South, 600 West of Paul with the lovely Miss Vicky. Good morning.
Good morning, Zeb. How are we today?
Well, you know, I'm getting a little spoiled when we have a nice day to sit outside or saddle up the horse or whatever, and then did you get a part of that dust and dirt storm the other day?
Yeah, we did.
Oh,
that
my.
was a dandy. That's kind of how it's been going. One really nice day, and then the next day the wind blows. And it doesn't just blow, it just gets right down to howling.
Oh, my goodness. You know, I've lived here 50 years, and I've never seen a dirt storm that bad here.
Yeah, that was pretty much an ugly one that came through, kind of dangerous when it does that. And it was kind of spotty. It hit worse in certain areas. We caught just the edge of it here, but then as I looked off to the east, you could just see where it kind of envelop the whole dang county. It was just like a wall of dirt coming at you.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, we all survived, thank goodness. And I've got a couple of letters, and I'm just going to paraphrase these to ask questions, some of which we have asked you in the past. A lady wrote in, and she said, when it comes to my crops in the garden, how close to the actual plant can a person hoe without damaging the roots of the plant?
Well, it kind of depends on your plant. I mean, like potatoes and stuff, you don't want to go down deep because you can possibly be hitting roots. So you want to just hoe fairly shallowly there, or reach down and pull by hand. But like carrots and radishes, I mean, if you can get within a couple of inches, you should be. Most plants you can get within 2 to 3 inches of the plant and be perfectly safe. You get much closer than that, and then you have the risk of having hoe blight.
Oh, and which
you'll cut the flipping plant off.
Well, I can understand that, and I'm not even a gardener. Okay.
I was hoeing my garden, I got just a little too close, and the hoe always just slips.
And I've been like that ever since I was a little boy with the paintbrush and everything else. But irregardless of those past times, another lady wrote in and she said, how do you know what to plant? In other words, she said, how much of this or how much of that, and how much do you know what to put in your garden?
Well, there again, it kind of depends on the size of your family. If there's just 2 of you and you're just going to use things for fresh eating, then just basically work with smaller amounts. Like if you're planting lettuce, plant a couple of feet and then wait for that to come up. And as you start to cut that first one, then plant another couple of feet and then rotate back and forth. If you're feeding a big family, of course, you're going to have more. And it depends if you're planning on canning stuff. If you're going to can beans or something to that effect, then you need a longer row rather than just for fresh eating for a couple of people or whatever. You just kind of have to judge it by that type of thing. You don't want a 50-foot row of beans if there's only 2 of you.
Yeah.
You're just going to eat them with fresh eating.
Yeah. Which brings to mind another question, and I know you and I have talked about this in the past, but safety and security of home canning. Is it a dangerous deal that you better know what you're doing? Talk about that a little bit.
Well, there's a lot of your vegetables and that can be done frozen, and then you don't have to worry. I mean, if you've got a deep freeze and you've got the time, I mean, frozen, like frozen corn and that type of thing is very easy to do, very safe, does not require pressure cooking. If you're going to can beans and, carrots and things of that nature, then you have to go into the pressure cooker type situation if you want to bottle them. If you want to just blanch them and freeze them, then you don't have to worry about the pressure cooker. And there are classes put on by the extension agents and that type of thing around that will test your pressure cookers and also give classes on how to use your pressure cooker. But using the pressure cooker is the only way to be safe on beans, and it has to be done so long for pints and so long for quarts and that type of thing. So, but if you're like me, and I just know I blow up a pressure cooker, so I freeze everything.
Well, Vicki, there was a lady last year, now that you just mentioned that, and I remember the note that she sent me, and I forgot to put it on the air. Call her, stand by, I'll be right with you. But she said she had a neighbor that every year brought over all kinds of canned goods, and she was worried as to whether or not they were canned properly. I can imagine that would be a worry.
Well, it is, but usually on most, like pickles and things like that have vinegar and that in them, as long as that's sealed, that lid, the metal lid on the top, as long as that seal is in place. If you push down on that lid and it pops, then it's not sealed.
Okay.
So those are the kind to be worried at. If you push down on that lid and it's okay, it's firm and solid and doesn't move, then they're sealed. Anything pretty much done with vinegar is not near the risk as some, like I say, your beans and stuff that are just pressure, just done in water.
Okay. Now we have a caller with a question, and I'm getting short on time. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, just quickly, Miss Vicki. Now that my Easter lily has stopped blooming, is it possible to somehow maintain that bulb or keep it so I can have it again next year? And I'll hang up and listen off the air.
On the Easter lilies and that, you can plant them outside, and sometimes they will rebloom.
Okay.
Now that the frost and that is over, you can put them out. You can put them out in the dirt. Then you can dig them up in the fall and dry them, put them in a cool, dark place, and plant them back in the spring to revive them again in the spring.
Wait a minute. You just said something that maybe I'm not privy to. You said the frost is over. Are you sure about that?
Well, it will be after tonight.
Okay.
It froze last night, and it's going to do it again tonight, I'm sure.
Okay.
So, I hope everybody covered everything that they bought and took home and planted on Saturday, because if not, I'm going to have to really start planting hard and heavy.
Okay. Well, now listen, let me ask you this real quick. Tree planting. I understand that you've got a truck that's on the way as we speak with a whole bunch of trees and shrubs, right?
Yes, I do. A big load of fruit trees is coming in, all the different varieties of fruit trees, and then we've got some ornamentals on it and some shrubs. So, yeah, I've got about 200 and some trees coming in tomorrow.
Now, there's another question right there that didn't get called in. It's a question for me. If somebody wants to plant some trees on their property, how do you recommend to them what trees would be the best for them?
Well, if they want windbreak trees, there's certain trees that grow faster and that work as a windbreak tree, or, we can decide on those kind of things on that. Ornamental trees, if in your front yard, if you don't have a great big yard, then I try to bring people down to a medium size, like a flowering crab, flowering pear, something to that effect that does not just eat the front yard completely and get into your house. Kind of have to know the size of the area that you're wanting to put it in, and so that we make sure we keep it far enough away from your house that it doesn't affect foundations and roofs and sidewalks and things of that nature.
Oh, my. That brings to mind another question for me quickly, and I know I'm running late, but what about trees that you planted years and years ago, and all of a sudden a lot of their roots are showing through the lawn?
That's called nature. It's just going to happen. Unfortunately, there's not a lot you can do about it, because if you start cutting on those roots, you're going to start damaging trees.
So
you just kind of have to lift the lawnmower up and go over them.
Well, when you're on a riding lawnmower, that's a little bit of a task.
And it makes a heck of a thump, too, to get one of those.
Hey, big day coming up this Sunday, Mother's Day. What's going on over at Vicky's Country Garden?
Well, we still have baskets available for Mom. We've got some beautiful geraniums. We've got lots of plants. And we've got a great gift gallery in here with all kinds of fun and games, things that can go out in the yard that don't have to be watered or pruned or trimmed, or don't have to worry about them freezing. They just look cute in the yard. Come on in and see us. We've got lots of that, and there's always the gift certificate that is probably one of our hottest items. That way Mom or Grandma can come in and get the color they want, whatever they want, put it towards something they want, and that makes a nice gift.
Absolutely. Now it's time for the Vicky's Gardening Tip of the Week, and it is...
Well, with this cold snap that we have coming, be sure, if you didn't get frosted last night, make sure you've got cover on things for tonight, because normally the second go-round is usually a little harsher than the first, then it's going to warm up. Make sure you've got some good cover on. Water your plants in good before this evening, so that will help protect against frost also. And then hopefully after that, we're ready to roll right on. It's going to be nice till the next cold snap comes.
I tell you, this lady is so nice and so smart about all things gardening, lawn care, etc. Absolutely. Vicky at Vicky's Country Garden, 185 South, 600 West of Paul. Number to call, 438-5663. Vicky, real quick, what are your hours now?
We are open now from 9 to 6 on Monday through Friday, And on Saturday, we are here from 10 to 5 to 5:30, something to that effect.
All right.
And now we're open on Sunday from 11 to 3.
I never thought I'd say this on May 4th, but Vicky, stay warm.
I know. I came to work in a short sleeve shirt and immediately found a long sleeved one to put over the top.
There you go.
It's a little cool out there. So
God bless you. Thanks, Vicky, at Vicky's Country Garden. Talk to you next Monday. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Right now, it's time for the weather real quick, and then we'll have Representative Fred Wood on the air. And I want to say that the weather brought to you right now by our friends at Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Hello, Don Scarrow and the crew. The number to call, 324-7657, or you can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. I'm telling you, delicious meats. I mean, whether it's the marinated pork ribs or the St. Louis style where the bones are removed, or the tri-tips, or all the sausages, or the bratwurst. I love bratwurst. You're going to love Scarrow's Meats. Absolutely. 331 North Road, Jerome. Again, that number, 324-7657. And right now, here's the weather.
It's a beautiful day as we start off a new work week, and here's what we're expecting. Sunny skies with a high of 64, a little bit of a breeze out of the west at about 5 miles an hour. Tonight, nice and clear, low 37. Winds are going to be picking up out of the west-northwest at about 7 miles an hour. For tomorrow, nice and sunny skies, high of 75, partly cloudy for tomorrow night with a low 47. By Wednesday, mostly sunny skies, but the winds are going to be picking up out of the east-southeast at about 10 miles an hour. Gusts as high as 34 miles an hour with a high of 74. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb.
I appreciate it, Gina. Thank you. And brought to everybody by Scarrow's Meats. Hello, Don. Come on over. Bring some brats with you. 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Not going to waste any time. I'm going to go right to the phone line right now. And as you have been hearing on this station, this program, and our sister station, of course, the May 19th primary election is going to be conducted by absentee ballot by mail only. And here's the man that's absolutely going to lay it out for us one more time. And it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Here's Representative Fred Wood. Good morning, Fred. How are you?
Good, Zeb. How are you this morning?
Well, hanging in, hanging on, and it's a little chillier out than what I'd like it, but we can't be picky and choosy. But tell us, what are you hearing from the various county clerks as far as the election by mail?
Well, in the general area here in the Magic Valley, I think things are going well. The last time I talked to them, they seemed to think that we were on schedule to have a normal amount of people turn out for the primary, at least with respect to the applications that have been requested. And so I think that let's go over a couple of things briefly, and then the emphasis today is most of you should have gotten your ballots back, at least the ones that have requested them so far.
Right, right.
And so now what you've got to do is sit down and fill them out and mail them in. But remember, absentee ballot voting has been around for a good number of years. Several people have done it multiple times. I've done it. It's very simple. The two-step process, Zeb. You have to fill out the form and request your absentee ballot. That's part of the security process of making sure that somebody that doesn't or is not supposed to vote in a vote-by-mail election votes. So you have to request a ballot. You have to sign for it. It has to be sent to your mailing location. Once it comes, you have to read the instructions, fill out the ballot, put it in the first envelope, which is a gold-colored envelope. Subsequently, put that sealed envelope in the outside envelope, and then you have to sign your name to the outside envelope, attesting that you were the one who actually voted. And then you have to put it in the mailbox or drop it by the county clerk's office at the county courthouse in person. You can do it either way. So at this point in time, that's the process. And the biggest thing you got to do now is once you get your ballot back, fill it out and mail it.
There was a question that was called into me the other day, Fred, and I didn't have the answer to that. Whether they're calling or sending in the card for the ballot, they said, how long normally does it take to get a return ballot in the mail?
I think here it's about a week or less. Now, in some counties, it's a lot longer than that.
Okay.
Okay? Particularly, I understand that Ada County and Canyon County are running into some significant problems associated with that. But I've not heard, at least particularly in Cassia and Mendocino counties, I understand that you also cover Twin Falls County, Jerome County, and various other counties. But I've not heard any complaints from the candidates that are running in those counties that there's been an issue.
Okay. Now, in our particular case, primarily we talk a lot about Cassia County and Minidoka County, and if they have questions to any county clerk, they can just call and get the answers, correct?
Correct. Particularly, I've spoken personally multiple times with Joe Larson and Tonya Page, who are the county clerks of Cassia and Mendocino counties, respectively. And both of them emphasized over and over again, Fred, if any constituent in either one of our counties has a problem, for goodness sakes, immediately call.
Right.
We'll walk them through the process of filling out the application.
Absolutely.
They can't walk you through the process and tell you who to vote for, but they sure can tell you if there's a question about once you get your ballot package, if there's a question of which envelope to put in what, they'll walk you through that process.
Okay.
So feel free to call either one of the county clerks at any point in time.
Okay. We have a caller with a question. Caller, thank you. Go ahead. You're on the air, please.
Yeah, I got my ballot. I'm looking at it right now, and as I was looking through it, there's hardly any candidates listed on the ballot. Who do I vote for? It doesn't show the names, the candidates. Clear for the position.
My understanding is that there's only a single competitive race in Cassia County, and that is one of the county commissioners, Bob Kuno, has an opponent. All of the rest of the positions are uncontested.
Well, yeah, but there's no name. For instance, Legislative District 27 State Representative, Position B, there's no name. Position A, there's no name listed. District State Senator, there's no name listed.
Okay, now,
County Commissioners, there's no name listed for first or second districts.
So you have a blank?
Yeah, it's blank. Well, I mean, there's a blank there to write it in, but there's no names. Who do I vote for?
Which ballot did you request?
It's the Democratic primary election ballot.
Oh, okay. Sir, remember that the Republicans have a closed primary.
Yes, I know
and so
that.
if you
I still get to vote for my county commissioner?
I believe they're both Republican, and
yes, they are.
And so then, no, only Republicans get to vote in the Republican primary. So anybody that requests a Democratic ballot, a constitutional ballot, or a Libertarian ballot, that there are no names that will appear on those ballots if they, in fact,
okay, but
are partisan and they are Republican.
The November election for who I want, right?
Pardon?
I'll get a chance to vote for who I want in the November election when they come up to the final
In
vote.
the general
election, primary.
That is correct.
Okay, and am I allowed to write in somebody, even though I'm Democrat?
Now that is an interesting question, but I do not believe so. You have to have a Republican ballot to write in on a contested one, although I presume you could write in a candidate, yes.
Okay, well, you might ask them next time you talk to Joe Larson. Democrat, can he write in anybody he wants, or he has to write in a Democrat?
They would. No, I think you can write in anybody, although I'm not sure about that. I've never been asked that question before or contemplated that.
Okay, then, for instance, you say Bob Cuno's got an opponent. Is he running against Jim Powell?
I tell you what I would do is that's a good question for Joe Larson if you live in Cassia County, and if you live in Minidoka County, that's a good question for Tanya Page. Or if you live in another county, then call the county clerk, and they can tell you exactly what to do.
Okay. All right.
Caller, I want to tell you how much I appreciate your call. Thank you very, very much. And Fred, I'm flat out of time, and I'm glad you were fielding all the questions. And thank you for coming on the program. We're going to have you back on in the next couple of days and discuss more of this. Representative Fred Wood, thank you so much for being here this morning.
Thanks, Zeb. Have a good day. God bless.
God bless you. Thank you, sir. There's a lot of questions, and like Fred has said many, many times, if you have any questions, contact your county clerk. That's what they're there for, to give you all the information and the insight as to what needs to be done. I've got to run. We're running late, and I want to remind everybody, we always close the program by saying the way things were, the way things ought to be, and the 4 words that mean the most. Of course, in God we trust. We'll be back here tomorrow morning at 8:06. Zeb at the Ranch, Zeb Bell, thank you for listening. You have a great day.